Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Prasha, thank you so much for being here. Mr. Daya, and ladies and gentlemen from the industry, guests, friends, and other important distinguished people. Firstly, let me apologize on behalf of the weatherman, and then I want to apologize on behalf of the traffic man, because between the weather and the traffic, around 1.5 hours from Delhi, through all estimates and planning, helter-skelter. Alternative options and strategies for cheaper power for consumers is what we are trying to talk about today. And from the point of view of alternative options and strategies, let's first step back a little bit to sort of set the pace as to where we are coming from and what do we see as the scenario. And of course, with due respects to all present, I hope what I say is not meant to hurt or upset anybody, but the facts as they are need to be put on the table, because we are after all in business, and business doesn't go on emotion, business goes on the bottom line. Now, the Electricity Act has been around for 10 years, and what we see in the Electricity Act as on today is some interesting phenomena. At the macro level, you've got banks and financial institutions getting very worried about the way the power sector is developing. And the reasons are as follows. Number one, the fuel for power, and I want to spend a minute on that. The fuel for power industry, which used to be coal, old king coal as we used to call it in the power sector, is now opened up to international pricing pressure. Because of our lack of ability to be able to get enough coal for our power projects, we are importing coal. Now, to give you an example of a project which has suffered from an inexplicably difficult situation is Tata Power. Now, what has happened in Tata Power's Ultra Mega project, they set up this huge project in Mundra. They had their own mines in Indonesia, so they gave a competitive price for electricity. But the government of Indonesia raised the floor, or the floor price at which power could be exported. Coal could be exported, resulting in the fact that the tariff has gone up. So now they're sitting in the CRC saying that this is due to circumstances beyond our control. Although we had our own mine, we had taken all the safeguards, etc. But we are in a situation where we are losing money now, and we're not able to make our obligations met. On the other hand, you have Adani. In the world of Adani, they built a 2,500 megawatt line from their plant into Haryana. I don't know the exact location of the substation, but that line is ready and running. However, Haryana's transmission evacuation program has been running slow. So the result is the 2,500 megawatt power plant is there, transmission line is there, but the people in Haryana are still suffering because of the slow speed at which the transmission evacuation has taken place. The maximum amount of power that can come on that line is 600 megawatts. So 1/4 or 1/5 almost is coming to Haryana, or what Haryana is entitled to, and for which infrastructure has been built. So it's only a quite question of time before all this power does start flowing into Haryana. Now, you have one example of fuel, another example of transmission. And you find that the other issues that are coming up are as follows. Electricity boards, URF DISCOMs, or private chaps who are distribution licensees or franchisees are all suffering from one problem. And that one problem is that they are being asked to subsidize a larger number of consumers who cannot afford to pay. And I'd like to really flag this issue at the outset before we get into the nuts and bolts of today's meeting. And that is that if you are going to ask the consumer to pay higher and higher tariffs, then what is the consumer's affordability? If he's a steel plant, his power consumption may be 30 or 40% of cost of production. If he's an aluminium plant, it may be as high as 80 to 90% of his cost of production. If he's in the computer software business, it may not be even 1% of his cost of production, so he's happily running on diesel generating sets. Somebody needs to make an analysis before I just across the board increase the tariff, what is the affordability of the consumer to absorb that price? Is he going to still remain in business? Is he going to be competitive? A lot of our industries are now world-class industries, and they're competing not just in India, they're competing not just in Haryana or in North India, they're competing in the world. Will they still be around after you've given the tariff increase? So therefore, affordability of consumer is something which I think nobody has really got down to looking at it. So there is across the board increase because the APTEL has passed an order, because some states in India and some distribution companies had not given, for example, Orissa had not asked for a tariff increase for 10 years or 12 years, I forget the number of years. So they had to pass a suo motu petition, pass an order on a petition saying the regulatory commissions must increase the tariff every year. And that's good in a way because it brings some rationality into the price of electricity. But on the other hand, across the board increase of tariff is something which is not going to be very useful for industry who are sensitive to electricity prices. So I think these are some of the background issues. There are quite a few more one can discuss as the day goes on. But the whole idea of this get together in the presence of the Honorable Commission, Chairman of the Commission and Mr. Dahiya, is basically for them to interact with you guys and really in an informal setting, understand from your perspective where you stand and what are the issues. Now, power cuts, unscheduled power cuts, all of those issues we are very aware of, and that is nothing new to Haryana, it's there all over the country. In fact, Haryana is a little better off than some parts of the country I know where the power cuts are as high as 18 hours, 20 hours a day. But the issue is this, that in this whole debate between the state DISCOM and the Regulatory Commission and Ministry of Power and all of those exciting agencies, where is the consumer? The whole debate, the consumer is missing, and this is one of the initiatives we are having where we want the consumer to tell us what are the difficulties and can we find solutions forward, because ultimately if there is no consumer, who am I going to sell electricity to, whether I am a DISCOM or a Vidyut Prasaran Nigam or whoever. मेरे को consumer चाहिए, then only I can sell power, so I must keep that guy in mind. I must figure out what are his requirements. And I think in the power sector we have this bad habit of ignoring the consumer. Maybe the consumer has got wrong notions, he may not have correct information, that's fine, but at least we must hear what he's saying. Now I just put together some thoughts on open access. Now why is open access so important? Open access is the first step to giving you guys a choice. Today, if I were to go to Bombay, I go to the Indira Gandhi International Airport, I have a choice. I need not fly Air India, which is run by the government. I could fly Jet, I could fly Indigo, I could fly anything I want. I have a choice. So open access gives you that choice. I enjoy that choice in airlines, I enjoy that choice in telecom. I can go to Vodafone, Airtel, somebody else to give me my mobile services. I can go to Tata. I have the choice. But in electricity, the effort of open access is the first step to creating a choice for the consumer. And the idea is to create choice and competition. So open access means, in the old days, if some of you remember, we used to have the telephone department, and when the mobiles first came, they did not allow mobile phones to connect to BSNL and MTNL lines. Then they came out with the concept of access deficit charge. To access my lines, you pay me my deficit because I am losing my customer. So something similar is being attempted in the power sector. The policy is being laid down very clearly that if you want to access my transmission line or my last mile connectivity, you pay me. What you pay me is not what I feel like charging. The Regulatory Commission looks at the books, looks at his losses, looks at his overhead cost, etc., and then fixes that charge. So therefore, this is a very fair charge which has been fixed, called the cross-subsidy surcharge. In some cases, there is additional cross-subsidy surcharge depending on the situation. So I'm going to look at open access, concept and understanding. I'm going to look at consumer perspective, DISCOM perspectives, current issues and challenges in Haryana, possible impact of suggestions made by DISCOMs and our suggestions. Now, the Electricity Act क्या बोलता है? Non-discriminatory provision for use of transmission lines or distribution system or associated facilities which such lines or system by any licensee or consumer or a person engaged in generation, in accordance with the regulations specified by the appropriate commission under section 247 of the Electricity Act. Simple reading is, yes, I can reach the consumer, but I have to pay something. Like I pay my toll for reaching here, I have to pay a toll to use the road. So I pay that fee and then I have open access through the road to come here. Now the generic understanding, enabling of non-discriminatory sale and purchase of electricity between two parties, utilizing the existing system of the DISCOM network. Now the concept under the Electricity Act opens the power sector to a number of players by laying down provisions for the development of power market in competition. So you have a trader, you have a power exchange, trader will give you bilateral power, power exchange will give you a daily, a week ahead or a day ahead power transaction opportunity. And what is the consumer's expectation? Lower tariffs, better service, more efficiency and a better quality of supply. Now this is achievable and this is happening in parts, in fits and starts, but it's not happening across the board as we would all like it to happen. So it gives the generator and buyers a choice. Now as a generator, I can sell power hypothetically to DLF here, and then if DLF doesn't behave himself, I can go and sell my power to XYZ. So I also have a choice of consumer. Like he has a choice. He doesn't like my face after 5 days. He says, no, Mr. Dol, I don't like your face. I want to deal with somebody else. Fine. Go and deal with somebody else. We'll give you this better service. So there's flexibility and choice. And it's the beginning of competition. This is the nascent stage of competition. And you know, when I used to be, I've been in the power business for 26 years. And when I used to first conduct these conferences or participate in them, there was nobody interested. अरे सर छोड़ो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी में क्या है मीटर है बिल देने का है get on with it, let's manufacture, let's focus on our industry. Today it's becoming very important because cost of energy has gone so high that the energy mix that you have may decide the bottom line of your profitability. An example I can give you is a hotel. The hotel's energy cost is as much as 20-30% of its operating cost. If you can reduce that into half, then immediately your bottom line jumps up. You need air conditioning, you need electricity for heating, you need electricity for all kinds of activity in the hotel, and that cost coming down is very important. Another very important statement made by somebody who is Airtel's mobile tower bill for electricity in a year is around 4,000 crores. Now why would Airtel pay 4,000 crores? They are paying 4,000 crores for diesel generating sets to make sure that the mobile tower, when there is a power cut, is running and your mobile phone operates. So therefore, they are burning diesel. And so those of you who are burning diesel, when we start negotiating with you or discussing with you, we say, okay, there are two sets of negotiation. The first set of negotiation is Haryana charges me, or whichever state I'm sitting charges me 6 rupees. How much will you give it to me? I'll give it to you at 4 rupees, 50 paisa or 5 rupees. Very good. I'm buying from you. But that covers you for the portion of power that you are getting from the electricity board. What about the 12 and 14 and 16 rupees that you're paying for DG sets? So you as customers need to be very smart to figure out your average price between the diesel generation and what the electricity board is charging, then start negotiating and make sure you get a decent price from the bilateral supplier. The challenge in the power exchange is and was and will remain is that you never know what the price is going to be on a day ahead basis. It could be 3 rupees, it could be 6 rupees, it could be 8 rupees, it could go down to, in fact, yesterday it was 16 rupees in the case of the southern region. So we are talking about a choice, and this is the expectation of the customer. Now, I just want to make a passing reference to this. Is a very old, jaded subject, but very important. It's still playing havoc in the system. Ministry of Power issued a letter on 30th November 2011, where it said, if the consumer intends to use the network of the DISCOM, he has to give notice upon such notice. DISCOM is duty bound to provide non-discriminatory open access to its network under 42(3), and it cannot be mean to construe that giving of a notice is a precondition for implementation of open access. It would thus mean that the requirement of notice is only to communicate the open access consumer's intention of using the DISCOM's network as per the relevant regulation and not seek its permission for the same. So you as a consumer have a right by law, as clarified by the ministry, that you have a right to open access. You don't need somebody's permission for open access. There's a little difference between the two. The issue is when do you issue the notice and the formalities of informing the distribution company. Now here I would like to share some thoughts with you. You see 1 megawatt and above, and in the case of Haryana I think it's 100 kW or above. 100 kW or above. So rest of the countries.
1 megawatt. It is
100 kW.
No, not 100. 1 megawatt and above.
More than
It is 100, sir.
if they constitute
Collectively 1 megawatt. Okay. So 1 megawatt collectively, or if it's the consumer's 100 kW. What really happens is that you are entitled to open access by law. Now, the distribution company, I'm not focusing on Haryana, I'm just turning across the board, I'm talking all over India. They have a tendency to block it. And the good news is, it's not just the government fellows who are being difficult, even the private distribution companies, for want of politeness, I won't mention their names, there are hardly 4 or 5 of them in India, are also as bad. The distribution company in Mumbai, going through the Tata network, if you try open access, they won't give it to you. Either your application will disappear, or they'll say partial open access is not allowed, or they'll say, "Arey bhai, metering theek nahi hai, acha ABT meter install." You know, they will create all these hurdles, right? The same thing happens in other cities. So there's no point blaming the government companies for being very protective about their customers. But unfortunately, after this letter has come and the Attorney General's opinion has come, there is a confusion between the two. And sir, I wanted to share this with you because this is what we are gathering from all the states that we are working in all across the country. The moment you are 1 megawatt and above, one school of thought is that you are no longer regulated by the regulator in your tariff. Because if you are and one more important thing, you have to opt for open access to get out of this. If you stick around quietly and don't do anything, then you continue to be the client of the distribution company and you will be regulated. Now, if you opt for open access, partial or full, then the next question that arises is, if you are 1 megawatt and above and you opted for open access, and as per this letter and the clarification of the Advocate General, I will be happy to share it with everybody, you are no longer a consumer of the distribution company. And you are not open to being regulated. Now everyone was very excited. Rajasthan in fact sent off a notification saying, about 1 megawatt and above, we don't have to supply you power from next month. It got stayed, it's in court. But the issue is very interesting. If you are not regulated, means the distribution company is also not regulated in the context of you. Therefore, he is not obligated to supply to you. Therefore, number one, he can't charge you demand charges. He can't charge you all those other charges which he wants. Plus, he's sitting with your deposit. Now you've gone into open access. He says, absolutely fantastic. You please go and buy power from whoever you want. My wheeling charge is X, fixed by the regulator. My cross-subsidy surcharge is Y. You kindly pay me this. You do what you want. This is fine on paper. But what is actually happening is something very interesting. What they do is the following. The moment you start buying, supposing you are running a, let's take an example, you're running a foundry or you're running a process industry where the surge of power goes up and down. Every time the power consumption goes up and slightly above what is your contract demand, they charge you temporary charges. Achha, if you over-inject power, they say that is lost into heaven. We will not pay you anything, not even UI. If you go under, then they say that is also lost. So my connection is 1 megawatt. I am getting 1 megawatt, no problem. I am getting 0.8. I have overdrawn 2 from the system. They will be janda. You have overdrawn, we are going to charge you temporary charges and penalty and this. Right? If you go under, you lose the power. If you over inject the generator ko tum bolte yaar tum 10% zyada dal do, that 10% is lost. So they are actually holding you on a stranglehold. You can't run your industry. You'll be running around in the electricity board only. Arey bhai, what is this over, under, this, that? Your accountants will go crazy. You won't be able to plan your production. So the whole idea is to frustrate open access. So now we have requested in certain states that for under and overdraw, please settle it either on UI or settle it in pertaining to issues on any other basis which is agreed to. In one particular state where open access we are operating, what we found very fascinating was they first charged UI to the generator for short or overdraw. Then they charge temporary charge to the customer also. So double charges are being charged. So the idea is to frustrate open access. And I'm very sorry to tell you that a lot of industry loses hope in the middle, but at the end of the day, we have no choice as industry walas. We have to fight, and we have to fight for what is our right by law, and we also have to fight amicably. ये झगड़ा प्यार का है. This is not a झगड़ा of sword fencing with anybody, because we have to live comfortably with these guys, and we have to be amicable, and we have to reason with them. This reminds me of a movie called Lage Raho Munna Bhai, where you lage raho, slowly the system will hopefully be sympathetic and change. Because if you as industry don't survive, then who the hell are they going to sell power to? So there are two schools of thought. One, that you are deemed an open access customer, you can go to hell, but there are problems connected with that, and that is, if you're not regulated, what will be your tariff, what will be the temporary charge, Now the other problem is, under 42.2 is where I'm coming to you, under open access. 42.2 is designed, the cross subsidy surcharge is designed to compensate the distribution company for losing a client to open access. But now you're saying I'm not a client of the distribution company. Then why should I pay 42.2? So these are all very exciting areas, and the lawyers in this country will become even richer, going to court and getting clarifications. So we'll leave it to that. But this is basically what I want to tell you about what's going on in the world of open access. Partially it is working. If you really settle down and reason with them and the regulator supports you, you are getting open access and industries are benefiting from it. So consumer wants a choice, he wants reliability, he wants savings from cheaper power so he can transfer it into his production cost, he wants efficiency, and he wants competition. Now, the reality, as I mentioned, exorbitant open access charges, discriminatory behavior, standby supply, penalty on demand, open access conditional approval, delayed settlement. He says, आप पूरा open access ले लो. Don't take question. Sounds very easy. What happens if the generator fails? Your industry will shut down. That I don't know. You have chosen to go, so therefore you need to sort out. So what we are now what people are doing is they are offering 3, 4, 5 generator baskets so that the comfort is there with the industry. If one goes down, there's a second, there's a third, there's a fourth. But you have to be connected to the distribution company where you are geographically sitting. It's not possible for someone to build a special transmission line for each customer. So please bear that in mind. Settlement is very important. I think, I'm not sure, but in Haryana as well, there is an issue. Over injection and under injection. I think they are asking for it to be part of the love and affection account, not to be accounted for. But obviously electricity is costing you power. It's ultimately going to cost you as industry money to make sure that, and the advantage you actually get by going for cheaper power will get diluted. Now what is the DISCOM's hang up in life? They are looking very excited. Humko income milega through open access charges. Therefore I will reduce buying my power, expensive power for these chaps. I'll only buy cheap power, I'll only supply to farmers. Relief from buying short-term expensive power at the margin. Removal of higher cost power from the merit order. Okay. I am very happy as a distribution to start with. But the reality is what? I have a revenue loss. Now let me give you an example. We did a study in Maharashtra. We found that the malls are paying, the cinema malls and the shopping malls are paying 14 rupees per unit. Now when we talked to the DISCOM, they said you are supplying the power at 4 rupees and 5 rupees, which is fine. But please understand that my cross subsidy surcharge, which is 1.5 rupees, If you add it to a 5, it's costing 6.5. But I'm losing the top line of 14 rupees. I'm losing that huge spread, which I'm charging this customer who can afford to pay to cross-subsidize my other clients. So talking about 2-year-old figures or 1.5-year-old figures, the cross-subsidy, the deficit in Maharashtra was around 7,500 crores, out of which 2,500 crores the government was giving as compensation, so 5,000 crores was a deficit. If you allow open access, all the customers will go away and I will lose my top line and the spread I have to cross-subsidize. The government has to step in to cross-subsidize the poorer sections. Now again there are two schools of thought. One school of thought is, if the guy can afford to pay, let him pay. And therefore that should be used to subsidize the poorer consumer. Just like the new budget is coming up hopefully, or I hope not, where the rich will be taxed more and the poor will hopefully get some benefit. So there is a revenue loss to the distribution company, which is of great concern to them, because then the subsidy element goes up. Government does not have money to subsidize, so they are in a ridiculously bad situation. Fractional purchase of day-ahead power by consumers creates a grid imbalance. Actually, it creates not only a grid imbalance, it creates an accounting imbalance. Because electricity, strangely, follows the laws of physics, it doesn't follow the law of contracts. So it will be there, it is there in the system, but you can draw the power, you can call it power from Tata or Reliance or Birla or whoever, or you can call it, whatever. But the power is there, it's in a spinning reserve, it's an integrated grid. But if you start picking and choosing bits and pieces, then it becomes an accounting issue primarily, and the grid imbalance part I didn't understand, because the industry doesn't stop and start and stop and start, it just runs continuously. So the flow of power in the electrons is the same. Another concern is you are forced USO, you are forced to be a universal service obligator, whereby you have an obligation to supply everybody, even though you are finding that the guy wants to go for partial open access, you still have to be on standby, you still have to have a spinning reserve, etc. Cross-subsidy surcharge, does it fully meet his top line and bottom line requirements? It's a question mark. And you see, whether we like it or not, we have to live with the fact that electricity boards, distribution companies are a legacy which we are living with, and they have done a damn good job so far. Now they have to find ways and means to perhaps modify the behavior as the times are changing. Then stranded cost of power from long-term PPAs. There's a huge issue of this. Haryana itself is facing this music because they have gone and signed PPAs for long-term power, thinking that you guys will buy more power. Now you guys don't want to buy more power, you guys want to go to Mr. X, Y and Z and buy your power requirements. So what does the electricity board do with his power that he is contracted, he is obligated, he is given government guarantees for? Then the UI exposure due to open access is consumer flip-flop. I mean, that's basically an accounting issue, but yes, there is what shall I say, a shyness, slight beginning discomfort of something new, that my consumer is buying and then not buying and then buying and then not buying, and I have to settle it in the UI. Okay, you have settled in the UI because the UI grid is the same. I mean, like, it's the same for everybody, but there is a discomfort. Now, consumers in Haryana face challenges of, I'm told, 4, 6, 8 hours of power cuts year in, year out. And here I stand corrected, please correct me as you go. Maybe later, maybe now, whatever you feel comfortable. Difficulty in load planning for DISCOMs due to variable nature of consumer drawl. Now, how do they plan? I have to plan how much power I have to purchase for the month, but I don't know how much the industry is going to buy and the hotels are going to buy, how much will go in open access, etc. Consumers who were availing open access were issued delayed NOCs or conditional NOCs from the SLDC. Yes, I love you, but on the condition you do A, B, C, D. My love is conditional. So I give you the NOC with love, but it is conditional on your doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. Consumers are to maintain flat load only for open access drawl despite any fluctuation being within the consumer's contracted demand. It's impossible. Even distribution company can't do it. Even if God was to come down with His grace, He can't maintain a flat load for a consumer. It's just not possible. And consumers depend on expensive power, DG sets. which is likely to get costlier. The other thing which you guys will be very pleased to know, since the situation in the country is grey or like the weather outside, diesel is now open to review in price every 15 days, thanks to the government's new initiative. So if you are diesel dependent, directly or indirectly, be ready for even more volatility in your electricity and energy bills as times come. I don't want to frighten you, but this is the reality. Now, issues that arise. Will it no longer be possible for consumers to buy power on a day-ahead basis from power exchanges? It looks like that, the way, the discomfort that they have expressed. Will the cost of open access power increase? Additional surcharge over and above the existing charges are levied. There is overdrawal by consumers beyond the schedule. Minimum 1 megawatt to be maintained all given time slot, which is impossible. These are all issues which are before the Honorable Commission, and I would not like to comment on them in the context of Haryana. But it's the same issue coming in other states. So there is now a growing trend to look at a settlement mechanism, because it's not, everybody knows it's impossible to have a flat load for an industry. Can consumers save on power procurement costs by entering into bilateral agreements? Possibly yes. But the point is that it still doesn't sort out the main issue you are facing is you have a relationship with a distribution company. Now, suggestions for state utilities, single window clearance for all open access applications. Right now you apply to the SLDC or the local guy or whatever, there are 10 million places to go to. Perhaps the regulator may make it easier. Transparency and strict adherence to time frame in clearing open access applications. I don't know about Haryana, but other states can take anywhere between 1 day and 1 year to clear your open access application. Reasonable standby charges in case of non-supply from other sources. So you can't, for example, say that your tariff is 4 rupees, but if you draw power over and above your contract demand, I'll charge you 15 rupees. Now that's ridiculous. That's not fair. You are squelching all opportunity of open access. Because as an industrialist, immediately I'll think, कि boss ये power fail हो गई, तो मुझे 15 रुपए देने पड़ेंगे. So I am not interested in open access. Whatever benefit I was going to get, I am willing to forego that. So I, as an industry wala, will never go for open access unless this is rationalized. And I'm sure in Haryana it will be. Establishment of a process for consumers to avail standby power. In some cases, we have told the distribution company, and they are likely to agree also, that in case of standby power, there is a planned outage of a generator where he's going for his annual maintenance. Then we tell them 2 days in advance and they supply power to us. Some people want 7 days, some people say they want 15 days, they want a notice period. But if it is a forced outage, it's an emergency outage, then we have requested them for a cooling period. That means for 3-4 days, they don't charge us temporary charge, they charge us the HT tariff, after which we have to make arrangements from somewhere else to get power, which gives us enough time, and then we are able to get on with our business. The complaint redressal mechanism may be set up to deal with case of delay in open access. I think it's very simple. I think the Commission has a website, and if the Honourable Commission desires, all applications can be posted on the website and they have to be disposed of. Everyone can see when the application was made, when it was disposed of. So we can use technology there. Okay, suggestions for open access consumers. Consumers could opt for open access through bilaterals, assured power supply because the scheduling is done well in advance as per the load requirement. Transmission corridor can be booked in advance, so the curtailment due to congestion can be avoided. Quantum can be revised in the agreed range with prior notice as per the prevailing open access regulation. There is one catch. This does not sort out your temporary charge or the penalty for overdraw business. So if you have contracted 5 megawatts, your connected load is 6 megawatts, and you overdraw even by 1 drop, the temporary charge and penalty issue is still wide open. Even whether you do a power exchange or whether you do a bilateral. Power exchange day ahead, you don't know the price at which you'll buy. Hopefully it will be cheap. But if it's not, then you have some other options. Bilateral, it's a fixed price. That's the only difference between the two. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry I've taken a little extra time with permission of Mr. Parashar. I just want to share the exciting things that are happening in the world of electricity. We are very excited about the power sector. You must forgive us for being so enthusiastic, but we'll be very happy to take questions as we go along. May I now request the Honourable Chairman of the Haryana Energy Regulatory Commission, Mr. Parashar, whom I have known for a long time, and it's a privilege to have known him. A guy who shoots straight from the hip, no tamasha, no roundabouts, very clear in his thinking. I look forward to his address.